So if you wish to accelerate the manifestation or the attraction of an amazing life, you need to be in a state of changeability. You have to be able to wander within your own state of being. You have to be able to not tie how you feel to what shows up. It's very difficult for many people, very challenging. Yes. If you wish to accelerate the attraction of an amazing life within your movie, within your creation, which is all up to you, you deserve everything you desire because it's your creation, it's your theme, it's up to you. You have to be willing and able and conscious enough to not tie how you feel about yourself and about life to what is. What is should no longer dictate how you feel. What appears now should no longer be an indication of who you are. If you can detach your state of being from your circumstances, then your circumstances will continue to reflect you, and before you know it, you start to understand that you're not separate from your experience, you're not separate from your circumstances, but all they do is reflect you, never the other way around. They move through you, never the other way around. You never move through your circumstances. They reflect your state of being, you learn from it, you decide what you'd rather want to experience next. You activate that in your frequency field, not believing that it has to be dependent upon how things show up. And then things will actually show up in a way that's in alignment with how you chose to feel, regardless of your previous circumstances. Does that make sense? Awesome. Can you all do that? Do you feel you can do that? Or do you take your circumstances too seriously? Yes. Nice. Can you do that? Yes. Do you take it too seriously? Yes. Many people do. That's what we teach each other. We teach each other to pay attention to what is all the time. This is real. Pay attention to what is. Don't be too happy, because nothing in your circumstances indicate that you should be. So why are you smiling when your mom is dying? Why wouldn't you? Oh. Can I be happy when my mom's dying? Yes, of course you can. Can I be happy when my empire disappears? Yes, of course you can be. Are you able to detach your state of being from your circumstances? You said yes, but are you? Thank you. So can you stop taking your cue from your circumstances? It's very challenging, and it's very subtle. It's a very subtle, endless learning curve, and I include myself in that learning curve. There's endless degrees of being able to no longer look at your circumstances at all. Then you're in the state of the non-physical. Then you're in a higher vibratory state, which is much closer to the actual state of your higher self. What happens? You'll see that much more. You'll have access to that much more love, that much more wisdom, that much more connection, that much more freedom, that much more empowerment. All because you have learned to positively ignore your circumstances without ignoring your integrity. There's a difference. Ignoring circumstances does not mean to ignore your sanity or your integrity. It simply means to not take your cue from what is as to how you should feel and choose your next reality. Does that make sense? The difference? You can be in complete integrity and complete compassion towards all of your creation without taking any cue from them or that which is as to how you should induce your state of being with a feeling next. You can choose whatever feeling you wish to induce yourself with next. It's not dependent on what appears. It's not. Your movement, in that sense, your energetic movement, is completely unaffected by your circumstances. Circumstances do not transmit a state of being. They can't. This table does not give me a feeling. I give me a feeling based on my ideas about this table. Now, if you start slapping me in the face, Jim, that does not transmit a feeling into me. I will experience, I'm not saying that I won't feel anything physically, that nervous system won't flare up and that consciousness won't register that sensation, but what I'm saying is that how I feel about that and how I let that affect what I choose next in terms of how I feel about myself and life in general, what I believe, what my conviction is for the next moment, is not transmitted to me by your hand, your molecules slapping my molecules. In fact, your molecules are my molecules, and these are yours, so it doesn't even matter anyway, not really. So you're slapping me in the face, and because I have a definition about that being really pleasurable, my state of being, yeah, this is also not based on a real story. Just a hypothetical example. My state of being will feel amazing. I will infuse my state of being with, oh my God, this is amazing. This is great. And so then the next reflection will be that he slaps me even harder because that's what I happen to like. Now, if I did not like that, if I did not like him slapping me around, but I still define that in a positive way, what will happen next is that he stops slapping me in the face because that's what I actually want. So if you want to receive what you actually desire, you have to define what is in the most positive way possible. Why? Because if you define something to be positive, to be in your best interest, your frequency will align itself with the vibratory state you wish to experience in the next moment. Since you've chosen to already experience it now, regardless of what happens, your reality can actually reflect that. And so you're attracting to you very rapidly an amazing life. Would it be helpful to have an instant shift from where you're at to the ultimate dream that you desire of? Would it be beneficial to have that experience instantaneously? Would it be interesting for you to have exactly everything you want right now? Would it be? Would it not be? Cool. Maybe it's different for everyone. For me, it's not that interesting. Because it feels too unreal. It's not interesting. The part that's so interesting about being physically focused is that there seems to be progress. So there seems to be some gradual nature, some linear transition from where I am to where I want to be. And it is through that gradual learning curve, rapid as it may be, I'm not saying not to accelerate. I'm saying if you would skip 20 years and end up in who you can be 20 years from now, you would have no knowledge of anything that happened in between. Now, how valuable would that be? How interesting would that universe look to you if you have no context to understand what you're looking at? How would that really give you a greater sense of evolution, a greater sense of expansion? Would that really add to the sense of having overcome, of having empowered, of having transformed? It would just be like a dream. And we already have that on a non-physical level. That's why it's not that interesting. That's why this is interesting. That's why limitation is interesting. That's why the gradual illusion of the linear physical reality is an interesting focus to spend some time with recreating. Because now you can make sense out of things. You can, in a sense, paste a story onto it. And I don't mean that in the drama-driven victim story sense. I mean story in a more holistic way. You, as consciousness, are now adding story to creation. You're adding relationship to creation. You're adding novels to creation. And that's how it expands itself. That's how it expands upon itself, is through storytelling. And again, I mean it in a very holistic, energetic way, storytelling. Adding novels, adding stories, adding lifetimes to creation. That is how it expands upon its relationship to the structure that already exists in a timeless stasis state. The universe cannot expand upon what is possibly configurable, because that already exists. It expands itself through how it relates to that, and in what order it goes from this one to that one to that one, and if it even wants to go from this one to that one to that one, maybe this particular I am consciousness wants to go from this one to this one to that one, creating a completely new story out of the infinite possibilities that are already timelessly created and don't expand. Does that make sense? The value of being physically focused is that you tell a story to creation that it has never told itself before. That is how you are valuable. That's how your expansion occurs. So there is that balance between gradual and instant manifestation. You always instantly manifest the next frame, but from the story subjective logical point of view, you're going to make that seemingly gradual. I'm not saying you're not going to accelerate this. You're going to accelerate this to great extent, to where you feel less and less and less limited and more like it is a dream. But what is so unique and beautiful about this particular timing is that you learn how to gradually increase the acceleration of your changing from one parallel reality to another in a very conscious fashion. Bottom line, feel amazing about where you're at, because it's about to disappear and change into something else. This is interesting. I'm not saying take your cue from what appears and what your parents have told you the way that things appear right now should mean to you and how you should feel about that. Completely always empower yourself to feel about what you see in a completely new way. It's up to you. Is your mother dying? Absolutely awesome. Have a party. Be happy. Or not, up to you. Just because your parents told you that that's a really sad event, and just because everyone's wearing black. I love black, by the way. Doesn't mean that you cannot show up being happy. Of course, there's this thing called respect and integrity. You know, you can honor that a little bit. A little bit. You cannot too rapidly expand other people's worlds, but inside, you can be happy. And to an extent to the outside, you can start to, with wisdom, overflow that peaceful confidence that everything is all right into those around you at that funeral. And maybe even wear a party hat, depending on what your family is like and whether they tend to bring their shotguns to funerals. But it is entirely up to you how you feel, how you perceive any given circumstantial moment. There is nothing set in stone. Nothing inherently transmits a state of being into you. It's all subjectively self-generated, self-defined. And there is nothing in creation that suggests that one particular experience should be experienced in a certain way. Nothing in creation that suggests, except for our law book and, human brains and the collective consciousness and all the morals that we've agreed on and the traditions and the lineages and all that bullshit. Aside from that nonsense that is man-made, there is nothing inherent in the structure of creation that suggests that a particular configuration of molecules should mean you feel bad. Whatsoever. There is not a single configuration of molecules that inherently structurally suggests that you should feel a certain way about it. In other words, all the timeless infinite creations of this universe are neutral and without meaning. You are there to tell the tale. You are there to generate the story. And how free you are in being able to generate that story for yourself according to your own highest intuition and desires will determine what configuration of the universe will fall into your slide next to show you the reflection of your chosen state of being. And in this way, you can very consciously and with no ego, just because you are a desirous being, just because you are an aligned being, just because you are a passionate expression of creation, wanting to tell as many tales as you can in as beautiful and epic a way as you can, because that is what expands upon the universe. Nothing else will. Only you can expand upon this universe. Nothing else will. So it is your duty, your job, your honor, your desire to be of service to the Creator by telling an epic tale. I'm not saying everyone should become an action hero or a spiritual teacher or a famous rock star. Epic can look like anything. The most epic reality is if it's in alignment with who you feel you truly are, free from blockages and negative definitions picked up along the way. Realizing that you can clear out all these negative definitions, and this is what empowerment and acceleration is, and apply and paste your own new definitions, subjective perspectives onto every single inherently neutral and meaningless configuration of molecules. I'd love to see someone quote me on that sentence. Circumstances do not create your state of being. It's the other way around. This is the bottom line of the empowerment teaching. When you get that, you become more and more non-physically connected and in tune with yourself. You come from a non-physical focus. And yes, you notice the physical focus, but it's just the tail end of your expression of who you are. It's no longer the dominating factor indicating and giving cues to how you should feel, what you should do, what you should respond to. You are now God. You are now creator, co-creator. You are now as you are created to be, in the image of the creator. The image of the creator is not the created. The image of the creator is another creator, because that's its exact image. The created is its opposite. If you are created in the image of your creator, that does not mean you're the opposite. It means you're created in the image of your creator, which means you're creator. Right? So you are a creator. You can't help creating. You can only make it so unconscious that it seems like everything is happening for you. And then you get these really, really boring spiritual teachings that talk about there is no free will. Everything just happens. Yes, but who do you think is doing it? You're the receiver of your experiences only because you are also the giver of your experiences. So that grace that you surrender to, from its own point of view, is your higher you. And the more you separate yourself from that which is creating your experiences, the more you feel victimized and separate and like there is no free will, which is the antichrist, is the anti-thought. It does not exist. No free will does not exist. Everything contains free will. The more you give that story of, I'm separate from my creator, even if you call it innocence, even if you call it egolessness, it is still a fallacy. It's still an ignorant perspective of creation. It's still not true. You're still separating your vibratory state from that of your higher true self, which is creating everything you see right here, right now. If you want to get closer to that true love, that true wisdom, that true connection, that true humility, that true selflessness, you need to become more as the Creator is. You cannot become more like in vibration by separating yourself from that which creates all that is. You have to become more like it. Always honor your integrity. Always honor the integrity of other people's free will, other beings' free will. Of course, live with as much compassion and kindness and love and generosity as you can. Those are not mutually exclusive. In fact, this becomes more natural as you learn that there is no lack of your creative abilities. And so you feel overflowing with empowerment and confidence because you know that you're in control of your reality all the time on some level. The more you download this knowing, the more you liken your frequency onto the frequency of the Creator, of your higher self. And the more you'll be endowed with the selflessness that are natural qualities of that higher state of consciousness. You can't be selfless by pretending to be, by trying to be. Selflessness is a natural expression of you getting closer in your frequency to who you truly are. Who are you? Are you the victim? Is God the victim? Is your higher self the victim? No. So stop playing victim, unless you want to be selfish, and insistent and arrogant, even in your humility. Oh, I know nothing. I have no power to create. Your will is my will. Well, that is true, because it's you. But you have to become, at your own pace, at your own comfort level, more and more and more as the Creator is. And you have to not be afraid of embracing your power. And you have to know that you're a good person, that you are an abundant being that does not perceive lack and therefore does not need to steal happiness from others in order to be happy him or herself. This is where the false humility story comes into play. It's like, well, if I am powerful, then other people must lack power. If I am happy, then other people must be lacking happiness. If I'm happy, I can only be happy by stealing it from you because there's only so much water on this planet, because there's only so much money in the banks, because there's only so much happiness around. Man-made thoughts, not God-made thoughts. How does God see life? How does the Creator see life? How does your higher self perceive this moment? As one of many infinite possible realities, all coexisting right here, right now, with no lack for anyone in any aspect of life. That is how it sees creation. If you want to become more like it, you have to see more as it sees. How do you do that? Clear out any perspective that makes you feel bad. That's where the guidance system of the emotional body comes in. It is your higher self letting you know the fastest way to merge with it, to become more like it in form, in expression. Whenever you feel bad, it is letting you know that you're placing your vibration further away from the truth of creation. Whenever you feel good, it's letting you know that the way you see life is rooted in a vibrational state, a position that is closer in alignment to the way that the Creator sees itself. That's what feels amazing. So in order to attract an amazing life, pay attention to when you feel bad. Transform the negative perceptions that distort you further away from the one, and replace it with a perspective that is holistic, beautiful, compassionate, and abundant, and infinite in nature, and you'll feel instantly better. Why? Because the emotional body is not a random mechanism, although we've polluted it quite a bit. Make it seem random. But it is a very clear guidance system, even now in our polluted state, of higher self communicating to lower self, whether or not our perspective is right or wrong. Very simple. Yes, there is right and wrong in that sense. Not value-wise. Everyone is right. Everyone has validity, equal validity. But in terms of your perspective being correct or incorrect, that's absolutely there. And incorrect perspectives still add to the expansion of creation, so it's still allowed, it's still valid, it's still loved. However, from a very individual relative point of view, the quickest way to become more as your higher self already is to notice when you feel bad and change your perspective to one that feels amazing, which is literally your higher self entering your being, letting you know, thank you for widening your channel to receive more of me. This is what feels good. When it feels bad, it means you're contracting yourself. You're pinching, you're squeezing the flow, the amount of flow of higher self that is possible for you. So something is something is happening, something is incorrect in the way you see life. In order to accelerate your expansion, which will always be gradual as long as you're physically focused, but that's beautiful, that's valuable, is to expand, to open up, to receive more joy, to know you're worthy of joy, first of all. Because to think you're not worthy of joy is already an out-of-alignment perspective. As long as you believe you're unworthy of feeling good, you're not going to allow yourself to feel good. So check in before you even try this empowerment thing. See if you believe you're worthy of feeling good. Or whether that's a bad thing, a sinful thing, an egotistical thing. My teacher told me I should not feel good. It's bad to feel good. It's not in acceptance, it's not in flow. I should feel bad and be really happy about that. I should feel bad and accept it as it is and not move. Just don't move. Don't think. Okay, sorry. Or are you allowed to be happy? Which is the way the universe communicates with itself. You have to understand that beyond the human level, there is only infinite bliss. There is no justification, there is no cause and effect. If you want to become more expanded, more selfless, more true in your view of life, you have to let go of the human view of life, which is rooted in lack and unworthiness. It's not true. It's valid. It's an expression of the infinite. But it's not true. It's not correct. It doesn't feel good because it's not correct. Whatever is true feels good. Like truly, holistically, peacefully good. And excitingly good. Not just like, oh yeah, this feels good, but underneath, no, I know I did something that, I stole this happiness from someone else, and now I think I feel good for a moment. But no, not really. That's not the type of happiness I speak of. The happiness, the feeling good I speak of is a holistic overflowing of goodness. Feeling amazing about yourself no matter what. That is what creation is like all the time. Aside from inside the human mind bubbles. even the human mind's spiritual bubbles. If you truly wish to develop a true view, you have to let go of the human view, including the religious and the spiritual and the self-realization human view. You gotta really be selfless enough to get past all your barriers of sin and unworthiness and being afraid of your arrogance, which is the most arrogant thing you could do. Just be afraid of becoming arrogant. How arrogant of you to think that when you expand, you will become more egotistical. How's that possible? The ego is the substitute servant that takes care of us when we don't. What's the worst way to take care of yourself? By feeling bad all the time and reinforcing that, believing that that's how you should feel. Then, of course, the ego effect kicks in because it wants to take care of you, make sure you're all right, make sure you're safe. Paradoxically, the ego effect-free state does not appear humble per se. It appears bright and luminous and shiny and generous and free and epic and awesome and radiant and powerful, and it stands out, but only because no one else does, not because it is arrogant. It stands out because everyone else insists upon something that's not true, and they're closing down their channel. Then someone that opens up will stand out. We'll see more shiny, we'll see more arrogant. Only because you don't. Listen to the arrogant people in this world. Learn from them. Not in a negative way. Learn from them in a harmonious way. Learn from the confident people. Learn from the shiny people, whether in the field of spirituality or not. I don't care. Can be a business owner that's highly successful. And yes, that may have a lot of misperceptions regarding the nature of reality. But learn from their state somehow and apply it to your own harmonious, integral knowing of the goodness that you are. Start shining yourself, start radiating, start feeling more expanded beyond your chest, beyond your body. The more you feel enclosed by the body, the more that is a sign that you're seeing things in an incorrect way. Yes, there is incorrect ways of seeing things. And there is more correct ways of seeing things, more accurate, more relevant, more precise, more harmonious, more in line with all that is, being one inseparable being of infinite abundance. So shine, especially when no one else does. Step on their toes if they insist to put their toes right in front of your feet. Because that's what happens. Because when you start shining, you attract both more of the shininess as well as the opposite, making its unconsciousness more conscious to itself. How will it do that? It will attract certain shiny, standout examples. And it will bash them or embrace them. Learn from them consciously. Thank you. Or learn from them unconsciously. But learn from what they attract, they will. So let everyone learn from you, because that's part of your service. In whatever way they choose to learn, positively or negatively. Accepting or rejecting. In resistance or in flow. Do not be afraid to shine. Or do. Whatever feels best. Whatever feels more precise, accurate, and correct for you. But if we could all light up a little bit more, then no one else would have to stand out as much. Because we all would. And then no one does. 100 years from now, there won't be spiritual teachers anymore, as we know it. Hopefully. Be redundant. Be absolutely redundant. Spirituality will cease to exist. Because it's a man-made concept. It does not exist. We're just talking about life. We're just talking about creation. Spirituality is an antidote to having constricted our flow. Oh, are you a spiritual person by any chance? I've just discovered that I don't feel good all the time, and I want to explore what it's like to expand myself. Are you a spiritual person? Can I relate to you? That won't exist anymore. No, I'm not a spiritual person. That's just woo-woo. They're right. It is woo-woo. Spirituality does not exist. It is a man-made concept. It is for those that wish to escape. But also the view that there is no spirit, that there is no consciousness, that there is nothing more, is also incorrect. But spirituality is an antidote, temporarily necessary to take us out of the compressed state, the contracted state, into the expanded state. Once you're in the expanded state, you see the inseparability of life and the brilliance of all that is. And then where is spirituality? Where is the spiritual person versus the non-spiritual being? Where is the one who is conscious versus the one that's somehow not conscious? It will cease to exist, hopefully. It will eventually. So when we all stand out, when we all shine, then no one stands up. And all will be brilliant in their own way, in their own right, and accepted and learned from, and everything will accelerate. Do not be afraid to shine. It is what this world needs. It's the best way to be a whistleblower on the ignorance of humanity. It's to shine. Doesn't mean you have to speak out necessarily as I do. You can keep quiet if you want to. But by radiating, you will say so much more than you ever can from a contracted state of being. Be happy no matter what. Show people that they have the option to redefine the neutral appearance of the configuration of molecules. That's all it is. Configuration of molecules, which is energy, which is consciousness. We can choose how we wish to respond to something all the time. What we wish to create, what we wish to generate, how we wish to feel, how we wish to perceive this moment. Show people they have this choice by being an embodiment of it. And don't long for instant manifestation of your amazing life, because it keeps your pace slow. Why? Because you keep seeing it as not yet here. And it will have to respond to it not yet being here. I want instant manifestation. I want that thing now. In other words, I don't have it now. And life goes, oh, you don't have it now? Okay, you don't have it now. Whereas if you let go of that and start appreciating the curve that you're in, the upwards, accelerating, graduating curve that you're in, of accelerating the pace of your gradual manifestation so that the story makes sense to you and you can actually enjoy every stage of it. And the more conscious you are of yourself, the more in alignment you are with yourself, the quicker you learn from every single second, the more you extract from every single second. The more unconscious you are, the more it takes years to learn what a conscious person learns in a single second. So the more you become conscious, then yes, the more your manifestation abilities, seemingly, although they're already at their perfect maximum capacity, will start to reflect that ability to accelerate, to instantly manifest things more and more quickly and frequently. But only because the one who more quickly manifests, not because they skip things, but because they learn quicker from what is. Because they're more conscious of what is. Not what is in the circumstantial sense, like, oh, this is, so I must feel this way. What is meaning, this shows up right now. It's a reflection of who I am. What do I want next? I want this next. Oh, this is a reflection of who I was. What does it teach me? Oh, this does not feel quite the way I thought it would feel. This, however, is amazing. Whoop. Full amazingness here right now. Whoop. And then it reflects itself again. Oh, what does this reflect in me? Awesome. So the more consciously you learn, the more quickly within a similar seemingly lifespan reality you manifest. But not because you're skipping steps, but because you're learning more efficiently. You need less time to bring something to your attention. Does that make sense? You can't skip ahead of your own theme. You wouldn't want to skip ahead of your own theme. Only the mind, rooted in the idea something is lacking now, thinks it desires that. But your true being desires to tell every single step of this story. How fun would it be to read a book and then to go from one page to the other, and suddenly you notice you're missing a couple of scenes. It's like, wait, what? I have no context to understand this. It's not interesting anymore. Same is the case from the higher self point of view, and from the personal consciousness point of view. You want to know what happens every step of your way, of your theme, no? Learn faster. Be more attentive. Be more excited about what appears and what it shows you and how you wish to recreate what is, and how you wish to recreate what is, and how you wish to recreate what is, and how you wish to feel regardless of what is, and how you wish to feel regardless of what is, and how you wish to feel regardless of what is. So that what it takes someone else to take 10 years to learn and express and manifest takes you 2 days. That is acceleration. It's not skipping ahead of yourself. It is learning more efficiently. A little side note to that, a little disclaimer. To the one that is in the accelerated stage, 2 days will feel like 2 years. What a perfect way to practice patience? By learning not to wait. Because if you're not waiting, you don't need patience. How can you not wait? By being in full joy regardless of what is. So what I'm saying is, yes, you'll accelerate what takes someone else to pay attention to in 2-year time span because they're just so unconscious and not willing in that moment to face themselves, to make contact with their direct experience, their own creation. Those 2 days to you will feel like 2 years. So you'll still have the same sense of, when is this coming? When is this happening? It's been 2 hours. My new house hasn't arrived yet. What the F? Whereas someone else that learns at a pace of 2 years what you do in 2 days, they go like, man, you're moving fast. I didn't know this was possible. And you're like, what, fast? Well, I guess I can see that from your point of view. Oh yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. Now I appreciate my flow that much more. And voila, the house comes. Because you were in appreciation of your flow, you changed your state of being. So always be in appreciation as much as you can. Be in confidence as much as you can. Take everything as a sign that things are working out, that you are being amazing, that you are learning. Always enjoy your present learning curve by knowing that it's awesome.